What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm also going to talk about some very important unemployment numbers that just came out. Now, this may affect the market moving forward, but just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. This offer ends in just about 3 weeks from now. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. Tesla saw a very, very nice pump so far upon these numbers being released. So did SPY and the broader markets. And we're seeing the market holding up for now. But I just want to give you guys a warning about this. And I'll talk about what that warning is in just a couple of minutes. Just know this, as far as Tesla's going, it still has a lot of good news that's coming out. There's been some talk about how the new Model 3 long range could go over 400 miles between charges. And with that happening, that's absolutely incredible. It just goes to show how sustainable these vehicles are on the particular charges. And I think it's very awesome to see new innovations that could incentivize a lot more sales. And then on top of that, I'm still seeing a lot of headlines coming out involving Bank of America being very, very bullish on Tesla. The share price is still reacting to that. So that's absolutely incredible news. And don't forget that they increased their price target from $350 to $400 per share. And they were talking a lot about how the robo taxi is going to be bringing a lot more sales, a lot more revenue in for them, and how they're very, very bullish. They're very confident in the growth that's coming in 2025. And they also think that the longer term investments into Optimus are going to be incredible. So they're very, very optimistic, at least as time goes on. So that's another good piece of news. This is still making a lot of headlines as I speak. Now, there's another factor involving our economic data that's affecting Tesla and the broader markets. Note that today is Friday, December 6th, and we just got some unemployment numbers. So the non-farm payrolls, this is for employment, was at 227,000. This is well above what the forecast, the consensus has happened to be. If you look at what happened last month, the numbers were not as strong. So this is a big improvement, and that's some decent looking data. Excuse me. And then the unemployment data was at 4.2%. That is aligned with expectations, a slight increase compared to previously, but not that crazy. And it's been offset by the non-farm payrolls. The labor force participation rate was as expected, very close to that. And everything else is very close to expectations. So the majority of the data was quite decent. Now at 10 o'clock a.m., we have some more data coming out with the Michigan Consumer Sentiment data and inflationary expectations. So we'll see what happens with that. But just to be frank, the unemployment numbers were decent. Right here, you guys can see this is the chart, and hopefully it's not too small. Let me try to zoom in a little bit more. So on the left side, you guys can see unemployment. This went up just slightly over this month. There's a slight increase. But then what offset that is the fact that the non-farm payroll employment month over month saw a big improvement. So if you look at what happened last month compared to what happened in November, right, there's a big improvement, at least in that. Now, do I trust any of these numbers? The answer is not entirely. They're always going to end up getting revised and things like that happen. But I'm just trying to say that this is what's being reported right now, and the market's obviously going to respond to this. So just keep that in mind. Once again, we added 227,000 jobs in November, but the unemployment rate rose to about 4.2%. So the data is mixed, but I would say a little bit more positive because of a big improvement in non-farm payrolls. Besides that, the market once again pumped only to slow down yesterday. It's trying to rebound so far, but I do want to warn you guys to be careful once I talk about the thing I want to say. We talked about the unemployment numbers. Besides that, I'm not seeing anything else that's too crazy. One thing worth mentioning is some retail did really well. We have Ulta Beauty, then Lululemon that did relatively well with earnings. Not bad. And then besides that, I'm not seeing anything else that's too crazy. The last thing is this: when you look at the options chain for SPY, we basically have excuse me, about 280,000 of these calls expiring, and we have over 866 plus thousand of these puts expiring. So that's over a $600 max pain with the 3.05 put to call ratio. We'll see what this leads to. So what do I see for the markets? As far as Tesla's going, we did a great job at pumping a little bit more. We hit that resistance at 380, so we got a more positive reaction once unemployment came out. However, we're going to be watching to see if the move lasts because it is still possible the market pivots. Tesla does have a bearish divergence here, but it's pushing very, very nicely. If 380 breaks, we're going to be looking for an attempt to get back up towards 385 as our target. If it does not break above 380, if we just shuffle around there, watch 378 as our main support, then 375, which is like where the high was from yesterday. We need to hold above that. Otherwise, we're at risk of coming right back down towards, the 368 area all over again. So just keep that in mind, guys. We'll have to see if we could hold above 380 or not. Otherwise, there could be a small dip back down to where we were yesterday. So keep that in mind for Tesla. Will we break 380 or not? We could attempt to shuffle here, push a little bit upon open. But then if the market gets that pivot, make sure you watch it very carefully, that 380 area, if we hold above it or not. Because if the market pivots, that could turn. And the reason I say that is because of SPY. I noticed that SPY is not cracking all-time highs just yet. We're going to gap up. But the question is, do we establish a lower high compared to this high here? And then could that signify that we're going to be coming back down to our 20 EMA? Or do we break the high? So what this means is, will SPY break 608? If we break that, then this thing could go to new highs and continue to push, right? If we hold above 608 at the very least. But what happened was we kind of touched 608 and we might be making a lower high here. So if that's the case, there's going to be a gap to fill below. So this could kind of push a bit and maybe slow down just a bit. And that would bring us back down towards the 605 area, which is where our 20 EMA is going to be. So will we break the high upon this push, or do we make a lower high compared to this high, which could lead to this turning back down? I'm going to give you guys a warning about that because the market could be very tricky, and there's no guarantee that this move is going to last forever. So we'll see. If it holds above 608, SPY could be attempting to squeeze back up to 610. If we do manage to hold above 608 for 4 hours, if not, if we hit 608, consolidate and start slowing down, there's going to be a risk of us returning to 605. And if that fails, we have 602. So watch and see what kind of reaction we get. We're still waiting for the Michigan consumer sentiment data. That could also cause some volatility, so wait for that. But just keep in mind, guys, watch and see where we end up establishing our high. The unemployment numbers were uh, pretty good, but I'm seeing the fact that the market is making a lower high right now. Look at ES, we had a high here and a higher high, but then we came down. Now we're making a lower high again. So do we break 6,100 to remain bullish? If we break that, we're going to continue to push. So far, we're just below that. So if we don't hold above 64 or 6,100, we're going to dip back down to 60.80. And if that fails us, we could be dipping back down to the 60.60s all over again. So watch 6,100. Can we crack past that or not on ES? If we come short, we could pivot and come back down to about 60.80 or below. So please keep that in mind. For Nvda had a high up here around 146.5. We came down. We could be making a lower high here. We might attempt to push up again, but if we can't hold above 146, if Nvidia can't break that, there's going to be a risk of this turning again. So you want to be very careful, guys. We might push upon open, but if we make a lower high, if we don't crack past 146, we could be on our way back down to 144, if not 142. So keep that in mind. This, it's still in the red even during the pre-market. If it rejects here, we're looking for an attempt to get back down to like the 142 area or below. So we'll see about that. It's not looking that strong. Bitcoin, it pushed. It's going to likely push a little bit higher. We did call it 99,000 yesterday. We're very close to that. We'll be watching to see if this thing could crack past 100,000. If it comes short, it could push, then turn back down to 97,250. So just be careful. We'll have to see if that breaks or not. Onto the QQQ, we're attempting to push, but look at this, guys. The problem is the Nasdaq 100 is not doing the best of jobs at holding above 21,500. It's going to be a tough resistance. If we do hold above that for 4 hours and we continue to hold up, we could attempt to break the highs again. If we don't hold above 21,500, there's a risk of us kind of pushing, then maybe dipping back down to these lows. So be very careful. QQQ has the same setup. Now we're pushing awesome stuff. But the issue is, look at this high at 524. We need to break 524 to get to 525 plus and continue to break out. It's possible that we try to push, but we come a little bit short, and then this could start to turn back down again. We also have that gap down here, so we'll see if this ends up turning or not. If we break 524, I'm bullish. If we can't, we could be turning back down to like 520 or so. All right. For Apple's consolidating still between 244 and 242. We haven't broken 244 to turn bullish. We're just range bound for now. If 242 fails, still we're coming back down to our 20 EMA. I just see consolidation on Apple. Not really much is going on. For the IWM, we're pushing, which is great. But here's the thing. We haven't broken out of this resistance yet. We need to try to get back above 242 to turn back up to 244. We hit 240. We'll have to see if 240 holds. If it does not hold, we're at risk of returning back down to 238. So overall, bit of a downtrend right now for the IWM, and we'll see what happens from there. For coin could be pushing a little bit higher. We have this imbalance up here around the 330 area. This might attempt to push a little bit up to these levels, but the question is, can we try to surpass, a lot of these highs up here to really break out? We're on a nice uptrend right here. We're holding our 20 EMA, so I do expect this to push a little bit higher. So we're gonna be looking for 330 plus, and we'll see if it holds above that or not. But I do see a little bit more upside for coin. For Amazon, here's the thing, right? We pushed, awesome, right? That's great. But now it's starting to reject here. So it's just barely holding 222. If we break 222, we could go up for 224. And if we reject, we return to 220, then 218. We'll see how it reacts to 222. So please keep that in mind. It could dip a little bit if that does not work out. We have Meta, which has a double top right here, bearish divergence. Right, we're completely flat right now, so it's not even pushing that high. We're not even breaking past 620 to turn bullish. If we just consolidate like this, there's going to be a risk of this tipping back down for 602. So be careful. There's a risk on Meta. Microsoft, on the other hand, is more bullish. We're breaking 444. I think we had more bullish news that came out. So with that being said, we are still bullish. We'll see if 444 holds or not. If we hold above that, we're going to be looking for 446 as our target and above that. But if 444 does not hold as the day goes on, we're looking for 440 to be retested again. So overall, let's see if 444 holds. We are looking more bullish on Microsoft for now, but we'll see how it goes. For Google, we might attempt to push for 175, but then, like I said before, watch and see, do we surpass these highs or do we come down, make a lower high, and then reject? You want to be careful with Google. There is that risk of that potentially panning out. So, what is my view of the market? The answer is very simple. It's possible we push a little bit higher upon open, sure, but I do want to notice the fact that one thing is Tesla does have a gap down here, and that I would still be careful because judging by the way the market's looking, I'm not 100% confident it's going to continue to push. There could be a little pivot coming intraday, and if the whole market does turn, that could slow Tesla down. So look for this 380 area on Tesla. Let's see if Tesla could break past that. If we hold above that, yes, we will continue to remain bullish for the time being. But if we push above 380 and we don't hold above it, there's going to be a risk of Tesla turning back down and making its way back down towards the high of the day yesterday, like 375. And if that fails us, I think we might fill this gap around 369. So please keep that in mind, guys. We'll have to see how well Tesla holds up. Otherwise, there's going to be that risk of it turning back down. Can we break 380 or do we kind of like shuffle around it and dip? Make sure you guys keep that in mind. Anyways, thank you all so much for listening. Have a good rest of your day and peace out.